At a busy railway station in a bustling city, there lived a beggar who survived by asking for alms from the passengers traveling on the trains. One day, while begging, he noticed a tall, well-dressed man. The beggar thought to himself, "This man looks very rich. If I ask him for alms, he'll surely give me a good amount." Encouraged, he approached the man and started begging. The tall man looked at him thoughtfully and said, "You always ask others for something, but have you ever given anything to anyone?" The beggar, surprised, replied, "Sir, I'm just a beggar. I always ask because I have nothing to give. How could I possibly give anything to anyone?" The man smiled and said, "If you have nothing to give, then you have no right to ask. I'm a businessman, and I believe in the principle of give and take. If you want something from me, you must have something to offer in return." With that, the man boarded the train and left. The beggar sat there, reflecting on the man's words. They struck a deep chord in his heart. He thought to himself, "Maybe I don't receive much, because I never give anything in return. But I'm just a beggar. What could I possibly give?" For 2 days, he wrestled with this question, unable to find an answer. On the third day, as he sat near the station, he noticed some flowers blooming on the plants nearby. Suddenly, an idea came to him. Why don't I give flowers to people in return for their alms? Excited, he picked a few flowers, and, when he begged on the train that day, he offered a flower to everyone who gave him money. To his surprise, people appreciated this gesture, and happily kept the flowers. From that day onward, the beggar made it a habit to pluck fresh flowers every morning and give them to those who gave him alms. Gradually, he noticed that more people started giving him money. However, when he ran out of flowers, the contributions dwindled. One day, while begging on the train, he saw the same tall man who had inspired him. The beggar immediately approached him and said, "Today, I have something to give you. Please give me alms, and in return, I'll give you some flowers." The man smiled, handed him some money, and accepted the flowers. He said, "Wonderful! You've become a businessman like me." The man's words resonated deeply with the beggar. For the first time, he realized that the key to changing his life was now in his own hands. He stepped off the train, looked up at the sky, and shouted, "I'm not a beggar anymore. I'm a businessman." People around him thought he'd gone mad, but the beggar was determined. 6 months later, at the same station, two well-dressed men were traveling together. One of them extended his hand to the other and said, "Do you recognize me?" The second man replied, "No, I don't think we've met before." The first man smiled and said, "We've met, not once, but twice. Don't you remember the beggar you once spoke to?" Surprised, the second man exclaimed, "Oh, yes. You're the beggar I once refused to give money to. And the second time, I bought flowers from you. But today, you're dressed so well. What are you doing now?" The first man replied, "Yes, I was that beggar. But today, I'm a successful flower merchant. I'm on my way to another city for business. You taught me an important rule of life. We only receive when we give. That rule changed my life. I realized that I wasn't a beggar. I was always a businessman, but I didn't see myself that way. People didn't give me alms. They were paying for the flowers I gave them. I used the money to buy more flowers and slowly became a merchant. Today, I run a large flower business, all thanks to the principle you taught me." Both men smiled and continued their journey. The story highlights the power of self-belief and the universal law of giving and receiving. True transformation begins with a shift in mindset. When we focus on giving value, we open doors to growth. Success comes when we recognize our potential, act boldly, and rise above challenges.